Jerry. Yes, the Jerry from Hypixel Skyblock. The one that annoys you all day. The one that is basically just a big meme that the admins created for basic conveniences to read patch notes in the Jerry delivery system, and just to make AOTJs or aspect of the Jerrys for memes. But the real thing is, what is a Jerry? I mean, a Jerry is a Jerry, but like, what is a Jerry? Is Jerry an individual? Is Jerry a group of people? Is Jerry a species? And also, what are they plotting? Are they plotting something? The whole thing is, what is Jerry up to and what is a Jerry? So, how do we know that? Is there something that the Hypixel admins don't want us to know? Like, the end of Skyblock is a result of one word. Jerry. But before we start the video, this is the part of the what? How does that go up? Before we start the video, this is the part of the video where I tell you to like and subscribe, because it might actually work. Actually, only about 20% make it to this stage. So, it's very unlikely that you're even seeing this, but, you know, just do it, I guess. Anyway, let's go on with the video. In this section, we're going to be identifying what is a Jerry. As we all know, Jerry is a NPC that basically is one of the first things that you ever see when you load up a new Skyblock world. It's basically a convenience NPC. It's like something to gives you patch notes. It basically updates you on stuff. It also has some conveniences of like the Jerry delivery system. You can move it anywhere. I haven't really used Jerry much, so I don't know exactly. But basically, Jerry is something that most people will just look after. Other than maybe a meme, most people don't seem to really care about Jerry. However, Jerrys are actually more to, you know, what people think. So first of all, Jerry is not alone. There are multiple Jerrys. Of course, the first thing is that every person has a Jerry. Every single Skyblock island has one of a Jerry. But that's not the only thing. There's not just Jerrys in islands. I mean, there is, but like, there's also Jerrys in something called the workshop. You see, the Jerry's workshop is basically a place. It's an event that is during winter in Skyblock, and it comes before New Year's. It's where you basically do the event where it's like magma cubes spawn and you try to use snowballs, and you can do other stuff like buy stuff from the shop or fish or collect ice or the chicken race and all those stuff. And also there's some agent thing. I don't know, I had never done that before, but basically it's just one big event. But one thing you can notice here is that there is multiple villagers named Jerry, and what I assume the leader of them is literally called Saint Jerry. Although it might be a joke after, you know, memes, but is it really? Now, if we look at this, Jerry, first of all, we have to identify that what is a Jerry? Is it a group of things, or is it a name? Is it an individual, or is it a species? Well, judging by this evidence, it either has to be a group of villagers or it's its own species. However, what I assume it's most likely its own species. As we can see in the Skyblock hub, there are multiple types of other villagers that are closely related to Jerry, but not actually Jerry. They're not named Jerry. Every other Jerry is named Jerry. Why is that? Is Jerry a cult? Most likely not. I say that Jerry is just a highly evolved villager. So evolved that it can receive knowledge directly from the Hypixel admins themselves. As we can see, it knows every patch note. And the thing is that Jerry used to be not alone. You see, one of the things is that Jerry is a species, we know that. But Jerry also can go through mitosis. As we saw, we watched Technoblade or any other YouTuber you can see that Jerry's do go under mitosis. How? I don't know, but yes, it's supposed to be like a weird glitch, but we're gonna ignore that for the funsies. So, according to that, Jerry does go under mitosis. Jerry is a living organism, and since no other villager goes under mitosis, they might not be the same as the Jerry. So Jerrys and villagers are probably different. But then you might be saying, well, there's only one Jerry on your island now after the update. Now we go to the next section where we estimate Jerry's power. What has Jerry been up to, and how is Jerry progressing? The history of Jerry, as you might say. Jerry was first added in June 26, 2019, and not known as Jerry, but known as the Guide, which basically was, a guide, was one of the first things that you saw. Later, it was about a week later, in fact, it was named to Jerry, and there was some mechanics that were changed about it. Like the fact that it couldn't die. It always respawned. Or more like, when it fell out of the world, it just came back. It can teleport. It was unkillable. You see, that was Jerry's first ever evolution. In fact, that was when Jerry turned into Jerry. The guides were just a different type of villager. They were just a normal villager that had some kind of different mutations, but those mutations added up to them turning all into Jerrys. Now Jerrys also multiplied, going under mitosis. Although most people don't really care, it was kind of funny that in some YouTubers' videos where Jerrys multiplied, randomly spawning on different parts of the island, it was like if they were, mitosis, and we even saw the evidence of mitosis through the fact of Technoblade's video. And we can now see that Jerry itself was a living organism. It was different species. That was one of the first earliest evidence. However, in the 0.7.4 update, they removed this, but not really removed. It was more like some part of the Jerrys became more aggressive in their group. These aggressive Jerrys were basically fought out the other Jerrys and ruled over their dominance. The Jerrys did not die, the other Jerrys did not die, they just left. Had to go somewhere else. But where? Where could the weaker Jerrys or the softer Jerrys go? Well, a group of my theories right here is that a group of lost Jerrys, the ones that lose their battles, found their way into a portal. In an unknown location, they managed to find a portal to a place we know as the Jerry Workshop, but it was not known as Jerry Workshop back then. So the original group found the portal and managed to go there. And that's where all the defeated Jerrys actually went. They left their own islands for a different island where a bunch of Jerrys went, the ones that lost. And since there were many Jerrys on an island, a lot of them went there. And then they managed to reconnect it with the outside world. In the 0.7.5 update, the Jerrys had an idea. You see, the Jerrys weren't just hungry for, having their own place. They started having ideas of world domination. However, they needed a way to recruit other Jerrys. And since they couldn't, just go to an island, people will notice them immediately. They need a way to get people off the island. So they can talk with the Jerry on the island and recruit them to their cause. So what did they do? They set up a whole entire event. Just one giant hoax. They pretended like they were being attacked. They were not being attacked. It's just one big hoax. You see, the thing is that Jerry's can't die to magma cubes or any of the defenders. They can't die. We already know that. So why would they need defense? They might not have to kill them, but they will always live. So what they were trying to do is trying to get people off their islands for events and for prices, because nobody wants to miss out on extra money. So they created different kind of sea creatures like the Grinch and the Yeti in order to get people off the island for fishing, and the event where they gave presents, which they made themselves, in order to attract people to come. You see, the whole thing is that the whole Jerry workshop idea was created in order to get people off their islands. Once you're off the island, some of the Jerrys go into the islands, and that's where they start recruiting other Jerrys. The more powerful Jerrys that defeated them had to be recruited, since although these softer Jerrys know how to craft weapons and stuff, and although the stronger Jerrys do know how to craft weapons, one of their experiments was the aspect of the Jerry, which was not that powerful, but it was an attempt at creating tools. The Jerrys on the Jerry Workshop Island had the ability to create powerful tools, more powerful, like the Winter Rod, and they had the ability to reforge better than the original villagers. That's where we saw the fact that they tried to recruit the strong Jerrys in order to basically combine their powers. And the basic way to say that is that, do you want to rule the world with us? And well, the stronger Jerrys of course said yes, since they already dominated over their island, they wanted more power, so they teamed up. So every workshop, you're not just leaving your Jerry alone. Every workshop, your Jerry might be trying to get recruited by the softer Jerrys in order to combine their power and rule over Hypixel Skyblock. You might be like, well, that's crazy. It's not crazy. There's evidence beyond your reasoning. Of course, there was also something called the Pets Update. The Pets Update added Jerry Pets. Jerry Pets were created out of Jerry Eggs, which came from Jerrys themselves. Although it needed other things, it was basically an attempt in order to get stronger weapons, as it literally, the legendary version at least, buff the damage of aspect of the Jerry by about 10 at level 100. So the Jerrys basically were slowly waiting and building up their weapons. The Jerrys are becoming very, very powerful every second that passes by. Every time that you go to the Jerry workshop, they're recruiting more Jerrys. And once they reach a certain amount of Jerrys recruited to their cause, once they reach what they need, they can start the attack. And one of the things that we know is that this will not only impact Skyblock, but it will also impact other games. As we know that, some people might not know, but in Lucky Block's Bed Wars, there is something that you can spawn called the Jerry, in where you trade Lucky Blocks for emeralds. Or was emeralds for a Lucky Block then? I don't remember, but basically trade for Lucky Blocks, or you traded Lucky Blocks for something. I don't really remember, but there. So Jerrys have bypassed other things, and has managed to go into other games. Meaning that this will not only impact Skyblock as a whole, but will impact every single game at its max. And since the Jerrys are becoming more and more powerful every day with their abilities in order to basically create pretty powerful weapons, and with the ability to basically create things out of air or to receive direct knowledge of new updates, they're becoming pretty close to what they need. However, they're not there yet. We can stop this. You see, Jerrys are not their full potential because they're at a lack of resources. You see, the Bazaar doesn't like Jerrys. The Bazaar agent doesn't really like Jerrys, and the three different types of species actually, the humans, the players, which are the players, the villagers, and the Jerrys. The Bazaar only really expects players because, you know, he's a player, he's a human himself. So to get the resources, they need another area, and that's where minions come in. The minions are going to be their final puzzle to rule over Hypixel Skyblock as the new admins. But that's for another time, where we discuss the minions' abilities and what they're really planning. And I just hope that by the time that I upload the video, Hypixel Skyblock will not already be dead. because of the massive Jerry invasion incoming. This is a wake-up call to everybody. Be careful, your Jerry might be secretly plotting against you and there's no way you can get rid of him. So, stay safe. And watch out for any Jerry. Watch out if your Jerry is recruited or not yet. Because if he is, he might already be dead. Now, let me talk about the other things that further proves my theory. I think that I might have missed. First of all was a post on the Hypixel forums by the admins about how they were struggling to contain Jerry's power. It was one of the first evidence that there was something wrong with Jerry. And the second thing was the April Fool's joke update, where basically it was the first test run of a Jerry takeover Hypixel Skyblock. It didn't really succeed, however it did show some kind of result. They were able to control Hypixel Skyblock in some way and were able to change the appearance of it, although for very limited, since their power is not there yet. They were able to still show positive results that it could be done. So with all these evidence, Jerry is definitely at this point going to take over Hypixel Skyblock at some point. His power grows stronger every day, and since there are multiple Jerrys, we don't really know what could happen next. Anyways, I hope you guys liked our my conspiracy on Skyblock, the mystery, the origin of Jerry, and their motives. I hope that you like and subscribe for more content.